Hi, I'm Realized Potential and welcome to my tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to control time in a fluid simulation. I already have screencast keys turned on. If you want to see a tutorial on that, there's one on my YouTube channel. I'm going to hide the default cube. Press H. Okay, let's go into front view. Let's add a monkey. Add subdivision surface modifier. Set it smooth. Just for appearances. Shift A, add text. F6 to bring up that menu and align to view. I'm gonna grab it, move it up, also center it, tab it to go to edit mode, change it to something interesting. I'm gonna change it to I love. Blender. You can change it to whatever you like. Okay, I'm gonna set the extrude to 0.5. Let me zoom in a little bit. I'm gonna go into first let me do it like this. Alt H to unhide our cube. Make sure only the cube is selected. Scale it up. Now, from this view, it looks like everything is inside the cube. But if I press 5 to go into orthographic mode, you see that it's not. So, make sure you're in orthographic mode when you do this. I just wanted to show you a possible mistake. Okay, I just press C to go into wireframe mode. Gonna make that cube just a little bit bigger. Okay, select the text. I think it's okay as it is, so I'm gonna go ahead and convert it to a mesh by pressing Alt C. Tab into edit mode. A to deselect everything. I'm going to convert this to a fluid in the fluid simulator, but it's not going to work correctly if I do it like this, and I'll show you why. If I go to select non-manifold, everything gets selected, and we don't want that to happen. So I'm going to press Alt A and A again to make sure that everything is indeed selected. And to correct the problem, I'm going to choose remove doubles. 2,152 vertices were removed. That's a lot of vertices. Press Alt A again to deselect everything. Now if we go to select non-manifold, nothing is selected, and that's what we want. Another thing we should do, select everything, and you can either press Control N to make sure that all the normals are correct, or you can just choose recalculate. It does the same thing. Tab into object mode, go to our physics panel, fluid. Like I said, this is going to be our fluid, so it's going to be fluid. Select the cube, that's going to be our domain, fluid domain, and I'm going to set the resolution final to 300. Let's change the preview to 65. Select Susanna, our monkey. and also make it a fluid obstacle. Go ahead and save it at this point. The last time I tried this tutorial, I crashed. You can see that I've been working on this. Let's go up, create a new directory. I'm gonna call mine slow fluid tutorial. Create new directory, yes. And gonna name this slow. Okay. Okay, let's add some keyframes. So select our fluid domain, which is the cube. Make sure you are on frame 1. Under the speed section, change that to 0. And I've worked all of this out. Like I said, I've done this before, so I worked all of this out in advance to what numbers I want and what frames I want them on. Okay, on frame 1, I'm going to set a keyframe with the speed at 0. Same thing on frame 20, at first speed also at 0, keyframe. Frame 40.5, keyframe. Frame 120, 0, keyframe. Frame 200, 0, keyframe. And frame 250.5, keyframe. Okay, I'm gonna save again because when I baked it the last time, that's the point that I crashed at. I have 001. I'm gonna press the plus key to change it to 002 and press enter to save. That way you get to save multiple versions. You can always go back. Now I'm gonna bake it at a resolution of 300. It's going to take quite a bit of time, so I'm going to stop the recording and come back when we're through baking the simulation. Okay, I tried baking it several times actually, and each time it would crash. So I'm going to make some changes to our settings. Change the resolution to 250. Tab into edit mode. Scale slightly on the Z-axis. On the side view, scale slightly on the Y-axis. Save again. Front view. Okay, I'm going to try baking it again. Okay, I'm back and fluid animation is all baked. If you happen to be looking at the clock, I don't want you to think it took that long to bake. I went to sleep. So yeah, let's go on the front view. Look at it in high resolution. Final. Okay, looks pretty good. See, it stays still for the first 20 frames. Slowly starts to move. Stays at the same speed for a while. Splashes on her head. And then time comes to a practical still. Not exactly still, but I believe that's a bug in Blender. And then it speeds up to have speed again. Now, let's go into camera view. Press C. Okay, on frame 1, with our camera selected, let's set a keyframe. Location, location rotation. Frame 40. I'll tell you what, let's go back into camera view. Press N on a numpad and lock camera to view. Holding down Shift while I move the middle mouse button. Zoom out a little bit. Okay, I think that looks good. I'm just moving the camera. Oh, I should have. Okay, I'm just moving the camera to locations where I think the animation needs to look okay. Let's fly through it. And you can set your keyframes wherever you like, as long as they make sense to you. I'm going to go to Shift F. And I'm both moving the mouse wheel after I press Shift F and using the scroll wheel to scroll forward just to fly through our fluid animation. I'm going to set a keyframe here. This is a good location. Okay, go to frame 200, which is where our time freeze stops. And I could always click on here and just type in the frame I want. Shift F again. It's going to fly all the way out of the fluid object. Whoa! Went pretty fast. I just clicked to stop the fly through. Continuing to fly. Let's move up a little bit. G to grab the camera, moving it up. Continuing to fly up. Shift F, continuing to fly. It's kind of an advanced tutorial if you don't understand everything I'm doing. I restarted Blender, so screencast keys are not on. But if you have any questions on what keys I'm pressing, I'm trying to say it. But if you have any questions, just ask me on my channel. Just post a comment. And do I want a keyframe here? I believe I do. Let's move it a little bit. And finally on 250 we'll go front view, and since most of the action is happening near the bottom, let's go down a little bit. G to grab, Shift F, and the keyframe. Gonna save it here. Now let's see how that looks. Okay, that's moving really slow. Set it to preview. Okay, I think that looks good. Okay, escape to get out of that. Okay, we don't want the actual fluid object to render. We're actually going to just see the domain. So here, let's see. That's what I'm looking for. And we can hide it too. Now see, it's actually the original cube that that we see, not the text. Okay. Let's name this something logical. Spell it correctly. Okay, I'm gonna speed up a little bit. I didn't want this tutorial to be that long. And pretty much that's the basics of the tutorial. Everything else I'm just gonna be doing is texturing it and preparing it to render. So if you have the basic idea and you know everything else, then you can stop watching now. But I'm gonna set it up to render in cycles. Okay, user preferences. I have a pretty decent graphics card, so I'm gonna make sure my computer takes advantage of that by selecting CUDA, and that is the graphics card I have, so I don't have to do anything further. Go back to 3D view. Here I'm gonna once again GPU compute. I am gonna render this as PNGs. I think this is our directory. And once again, now I'm gonna create another directory. Inside this one, I'm gonna call it output. Press enter and it asks me if I want to create a new directory, and I do. And I could have done that by clicking here, but I find this to be easier. And slow. really want to render at this resolution? No, because it's going to take forever, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to do this at 3000. And like I said, it's going to take forever. You don't have to do it at this level. I'm going to go ahead and save my settings. Start setting up my materials. Use nodes, glass, and I'm going to leave it at that. Glossy. Looking for kind of a goldish color. Be easy with me on my textures. I'm not an expert there. I selected our domain object. When it's into edit mode, you see it turns back into a cube. Press A to deselect everything. Moving our camera is okay because we have keyframes set, so as soon as we render or press A, it's going to jump back to its proper location. Be the box select. Well, wait a minute. Go into wireframe mode. Now be the box select. Shift S and cursor to selected. That's just to get the cursor at the bottom of the domain object. Now tab out of edit mode. Shift A to add a mesh. S to scale up. Make it a bit bigger. Make it huge actually. Now I'm going to move it up just slightly. The reason I'm doing that is the fluids for some reason never actually touches the bottom of the fluid domain. So I'll move up my plane just slightly. Save and do a test render. Wait, haven't set a material for this. Now save. See, right away I forgot to do a few things. First, okay, I'm gonna Shift S again, cursor to selected, Shift A, add a mesh, plus I'm going to make this emission and change it to 100. Select our lamp. You can click on this line, it'll select the lamp, and delete the lamp. Go on the top view by pressing 7 on the numpad. Grab and move forward. F2 to save. I'm just going to overwrite this one. Up. It doesn't matter if you click use nodes or not, but I am going to change the color by clicking on it to black. And let's see how that looks. And all this is basic cycles texturing. Okay, it looks like it's going to be like I want it to be. Down here, I'm going to set our clamp to to what? To 50? Set it to 100 for now. If our camera selected, now I'm gonna select Suzanne first, then our camera. Press Control T and track to constraint. Up, that I did it backwards. Control Z. Select our camera first, then Suzanne. No, that's what I did the last time. Select Suzanne first, then the camera. Excuse me. Okay, select the camera first, then Suzanne. Alright. Sorry about that. Okay, I could probably do more, but I'm not going to play with this forever. Okay, I'll just do one test render. Oh, and by the way, the reason I did the track to constraint is just to make sure the camera stays on the target as it's moving. Suzanne will always be centered. Save you time instead of doing a bunch of keyframes. Just a quick tip. One final save. Okay, and of course it's probably going to take weeks or maybe even a month to render. Hopefully not months. So we'll be back when it's finished rendering. I'll probably put the animation at the beginning of the video. Maybe I'll put it at the beginning and the end. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something. Speed was between 9 and 17 minutes per frame. If I had anticipated it rendering so fast, I would have added a level of subsurface division to the fluid simulation, which is always a good idea for final output. Thank you so much for watching the tutorial.